Labuan is a federal territory of Malaysia off the coast of Borneo in East Malaysia. It is made up of the homonymous Labuan Island and 6 smaller islands, and is located off the coast of the state of Sabah. Labuan's capital is Victoria and is best known as an offshore financial centre offering international financial and business services via Labuan IBFC since 1990, as well as being an offshore support hub for deepwater oil and gas activities in the region. It is also a tourist destination for people travelling through Sabah, nearby Bruneians and scuba divers. The name Labuan derives from the Malay word labuhan, which means harbour. History. Since the 15th century, the north and west coast of Borneo, including the island of Labuan, was part of the Bruneian Empire. In the 18th century, Labuan attracted British interest. James Brooke acquired the island for Britain in 1846 through a treaty with the Sultan of Brunei, Omar Ali Saifuddin II, on December 18, 1846. A British naval officer, Rodney Mundy, visited Brunei with his ship HMS Iris to keep the Sultan in line until the British government made a final decision to take the island, and he took Penja and Mumin to witness the island's accession to the British Crown on December 24, 1846. Some sources state that during the signing of the treaty, the Sultan had been threatened by a British Navy warship ready to fire on the Sultan's palace if he refused to sign the treaty, while another source says the island was ceded to Britain as a reward for assistance in combating pirates. The main reason why the British possessed the island was to protect their own interest in the region as a naval base and to suppress piracy in the South China Sea. The British also believed the island could be the next Singapore. The island became a Crown colony in 1848 with James Brooke appointed as the first governor and commander-in-chief, with William Napier as his lieutenant governor. In 1849, the Eastern Archipelago Company became the first of several British companies to try to exploit Labuan coal deposits. The company was formed to exploit coal deposits on the island and adjacent coast of Borneo, but soon became involved in a dispute with James Brooke. Not proving itself a great commercial or strategic asset, administration of Labuan was handed to the British North Borneo Company in 1890. In 1894, a submarine communications cable was built by the British to link the island's communications with North Borneo, Singapore and Hong Kong for the first time. By October 30, 1906, the British government proposed to extend the boundaries of the Strait settlements to include Labuan. The proposal took effect from January 1, 1907. In World War II, Labuan was occupied by Japan from December 1941 until June 1945 and governed as part of the Northern Borneo Military Unit by the Japanese 37th Army. The island served as the administrative center for the Japanese forces. During the occupation, the Japanese government changed the island name to Maida Island on December 9, 1942, after Marquis Toshinori Maeda, as a remembrance to the first Japanese commander in northern Borneo who was killed in an air crash at Bintulu, Sarawak, when en route to the island to open the airfield there. As the Allied counterattack came closer, the Japanese also developed Labuan and Brunei Bay as a naval base. The liberation of Borneo by the Allied forces began on June 10, 1945, when the Australian Army under the command of Australian Major General George Wotton launched an attack under the code name of Operation Nobo 6. Labuan became the main objective for the Allied forces to repossess. Soon, the 9th Division of the Australian Army launched the attack with support from airstrikes and sea bombardments until the capture of the Labuan airstrip. Most of the Labuan Island area, including the main town of Victoria, was under the control of Allied forces within 4 days of the landing on June 10. On September 9, 1945, the Japanese Lieutenant General Majau Baba officially surrendered at a place now known as Surrender Point near the Liang Liang beach, which he had been brought to by the 9th Division headquarters on the island to sign the surrender document in front of the Australian 9th Division Army Commander George Wotton. The name of Labuan was later restored by the British and the island was administered under the British military administration together with the rest of the Strait settlements. Labuan then on July 15, 1946 joined the North Borneo Crown Colony, which in turn became a part of the state of Sabah and Malaysia in 1963. In 1984, the government of Sabah ceded Labuan to the federal government, which later been accessed to a federal territory. It was declared an international offshore financial center and free trade zone in 1990. Postage stamps and postal history equals. A post office was operating in Labuan by 1864, and used a circular date stamp as postmark. The postage stamps of India and Hong Kong were used on some mail, but they were probably carried there by individuals, instead of being on sale in Labuan. Mail was routed through Singapore. From 1867, Labuan officially used the postage stamps of the Straits settlements but began issuing its own in May 1879. The first stamps of Labuan depict the usual profile of Queen Victoria but are unusual for being inscribed in Arabic and Chinese scripts in addition to Labuan postage. Perennial shortages necessitated a variety of surcharges in between the several reprints and color changes of the 1880s. The original stamps were engraved, but the last of the design, in April 1894, were done by lithography. Beginning in May 1894, the designs of North Borneo were printed in different colors, with Labuan either engraved into the vignette or overprinted. On September 24, 1896, the 50th anniversary of the session was marked by overprinting 1846/Jubilee/1896 on the overprinted North Borneo designs. Additional overprints appeared through the 1890s. In 1899 many types were surcharged with a value of 4 cents. A last Labuan-only design came out in 1902, depicting a crown and inscribed Labuan Colony. After incorporation into the Straits settlements in 1906, Labuan ceased issuing its own stamps, although they remained valid for some time. Many of the remainders were cancelled to order for sale to collectors and are now worth only pennies. Genuine postal uses are worth much more. Geography. Labuan's area comprises the main island and 6 other smaller islands, Big Rosyukan, Burung, Dart, Kuraman, Small Rosyukan and Pupan Island with a total area of 91.64 km². The islands lie 8 kilometers off the coast of Borneo, adjacent to the Malaysian state of Sabah and to the north of Brunei Darussalam, on the northern edge of Brunei Bay facing the South China Sea. Labuan Island is mainly flat and undulating. Its highest point is Bukit Kubong at 148 meters above the sea level. Over 70% of the island is still covered with vegetation. The main town area of Victoria is located in a position facing Brunei Bay. Climate Labuan has a tropical rainforest climate with no dry season. Over the course of a year, the temperature typically varies from 25 degrees Celsius to 32 degrees Celsius and is rarely below 24 degrees Celsius or above 33 degrees Celsius. The warm season lasts from April 1 to June 13 with an average daily high temperature above 31 degrees Celsius. The hottest day of the year is April 29, with an average high of 32 degrees Celsius and low of 26 degrees Celsius. The cold season lasts from January 7 to February 17 with an average daily high temperature below 30 degrees Celsius. The coldest day of the year is September 8, with an average low of 25 degrees Celsius and high of 31 degrees Celsius. The weather station for Labuan is located at Labuan Airport. Thunderstorms are the most severe precipitation observed in Labuan during 60% of those days with precipitation. They are most likely around October, when they occur very frequently. Meanwhile, the relative humidity for Labuan typically ranges from 63% to 96% over the course of the year, rarely dropping below 53% and reaching as high as 100%. Demographics. Population and religion equals. According to Malaysia's Department of Statistics, Labuan population for 2010 was at 86,908 and it is projected to be at 91,300 for 2013. The ethnic composition in 2010 in Labuan was, Brunei Malay and Kedah, Kyrgyz Yasan, Bajai, Murut, Chinese, Indian, other ethnic and non-Malaysian citizen. The majority of Chinese people in Labuan are from the Hokkien dialect group. However, there are also many Hackers, most of whom are migrants or descendants of migrants from Sabah. As of 2010 census, the population of Labuan is 76.0% Muslim, 12.4% Christian, 9.0% Buddhist, 0.4% Hindu, 2.1% follower of other religions, and 0.1% non-religious. Economy. The economy of Labuan thrives on its vast oil and gas resources and international investment and banking services. Labuan is a very much an import-export-oriented economy. Virtually all of its commodities including crude oil, methanol, HBI, gas, flour, animal feed, sea products and ceramic tiles are exported either to Peninsular Malaysia or overseas. Raw materials, parts and equipments for industrial use as well as consumer products are imported. In 2004, the total value of Labuan's external trade reached 11.8 billion Malaysian ringgits from only 5.0 billion Malaysian ringgits in 1995 for a net trade surplus of 5.1 billion Malaysian ringgits. Among its major trade partners are India, Peninsular Malaysia, Sarawak and South Korea. 65% of its exports are petroleum and gas-based products. The gross domestic product of Labuan is estimated at 3.63 billion Malaysian ringgits in 2012 with a growth rate of 5.8%. Labuan GDP per capita in 2012 is 39,682 Malaysian ringgits. The total employment for Labuan is around 39,800 in 2012. The main economic sectors in Labuan is service and manufacturing which contributed 94.6% of the island GDP. The service sector consisted mainly of finance and insurance and real estate and business services. Meanwhile, the manufacturing sector consists mainly of oil and gas industry and support. The Labuan International Business and Financial Centre Labuan IBFC was created as Malaysia Euro unregistered trademark S-only offshore financial hub on October 1990 and was operating under the name of Labuan International Offshore Financial Centre. At the time it was established to strengthen the contribution of financial services to the gross national product of Malaysia as well as to develop the island and its surrounding vicinity. The jurisdiction, supervised by the Labuan Offshore Financial Services Authority or LOFSA, offers benefits such as 3% tax on net audited results or a flat rate of Malaysian ringgit 20,000 to trading companies. Low operational costs, liberal exchange controls, and a host of other advantages including readily available, experienced and professional service providers. In 2010 the notion offshore was excluded from all the statutes of Labuan due to world pressure on the tax havens and offshores. Since its inception, the jurisdiction has expanded to become a base for more than 6,500 offshore companies and more than 300 licensed financial institutions including world-leading banks. Labuan IBFC is embarking on an aggressive growth strategy to become the premier international business and financial center in the Asia-Pacific region. Labuan's business focus is on 5 core areas: offshore holding companies, captive insurance, Sharia-compliant Islamic finance structures, public and private funds and wealth management. Labuan IBFC a Euro unregistered trademark S position is further enhanced by the launch of the Malaysian International Islamic Finance Centre initiative in August 2006. Government. Labuan is one of the federal government territories. The island is administered by the federal government through the Ministry of Federal Territories. Labuan Corporation is the municipal government for the island and is headed by a chairman who is responsible for development and administration of the island. Labuan has 1 representation in each for the lower house and upper house of parliament. Typically, the current member of parliament of Labuan will be appointed to become chairman of Labuan Corporation. The island is represented in the lower house of parliament by MP Rosman Datuk Haji Isli and in the upper house by Senator Yunus Kouris. Below is the list of administrator of Labuan from 1848 to current date. Administrative subdivision the federal territory is administratively subdivided into the capital Bandar Labuan and 27 kampung, and which are ruled by appointed Ketua Kampung, Bukit Kalam, Durian Tunjung, Tunjung Ara, Poan Bacu, Bacu Orang, Patau Patau Tu, Belukut, Sungai Keling, Sungai Bidon/Sungai Sembalang, Layang Layangan, Sungai Lebu, Pantai, Jersik/Saguking/Jaw/Parrot, Sungai Butan, Kalan/Kalan Pulau Akar,
Lajay, Rancha, Nagalang/Kerid-Pang, Bebulo, Sungai Lada, Lubok Tamayang, Sungai Bangat, Sungai Miri/Pagar, Patau 1, Baca Manakar, Bukit Kuda, Gangarak/Merinding. Security is the responsibility of the federal government, with naval patrol vessels, a garrison and an air detachment based on the island. The vigilance of the local Coast Guard and Customs and Excise contribute to the maintenance of Labuan's reputation and status as an international offshore financial center and free trade zone. Places of interest. There are several attractions and places of interest on Labuan. The Labuan War Cemetery contains various war graves and memorials to the fallen of World War II. This includes British, Australian, Indian, Sarawakian, Bruneian, North Borneo and Empire troops, making it the largest war grave with 3,908 graves of fallen soldiers. A memorial service is held on Remembrance Day every year. There is also a memorial celebrating the surrender of the Japanese to the Australian forces in 1945. There are also remnants of Labuan's history as a Royal Navy coaling station, including the chimney, a well-known local landmark. There is also a Labuan Maritime Museum. Labuan is also the base for diving on 4 popular wreck dives, the Cement Wreck, the American Wreck, the Australian Wreck and the Blue Water Wreck. Labuan has many schools. However, it has only one international school, Labuan International School. Other places of interest include the Labuan International Sea Sport Complex. Newly proposed is the Marina Centre and Labuan Square project, which are completed in 2010. Labuan's own institution of higher education is University Malaysia Sabah Labuan International Campus, a branch of University Malaysia Sabah in Sipongar Bay, Kota Kinabalu. Labuan also has a matriculation college, College Matrikulasi Labuan, the only matriculation college in East Malaysia. Thus, all pre-university students from Sabah, Sarawak and Labuan will take their courses here. Notable residents: Yusof Mail, politician from Barisan National Party and former Member of Parliament for Labuan. Rosmond Ataik H.J. Isley, is now the current Member of Parliament of Labuan after the 13th general election. Kelvin Teo, young entrepreneur and Season 1 winner of reality show Love Me Do. Suresh Singh, right-hand bowler who plays for Malaysian cricket national team. Karen Kong, Malaysia pop singer. Hassan Sani, Malaysian and Sabah football player. Labuan in popular culture. Labuan is often referred to as the Pearl of Borneo. In the Sandokan series of novels by Emilio Salgari, Lady Mariana is referred to as the Pearl of Labuan. See also: Labuan Teleport. References. Notes. Further reading: Labuan Story, Memoirs of a Small Island Near the Coast of North Borneo. Maxwell Hall, Jesselton, North Borneo, Chewing Nam. The History of Labuan Island. Stephen R. Evans, Abdul Rahman Zainul and Rodwan Kumji. Singapore, Calendar Print, Chai Fo Chin. Early Picture Postcards of North Borneo and Labuan, Stephen R. Evans, Abdul Rahman Zainul and Rodwan Kumji. The History of Labuan. External links: Labuan Corporation, Labuan Tourism, Labuan International Business and Financial Centre, Malaysia.